That seems a little weird.
No. I'm not saying that there's no disturbance on the surface. I'm saying there's no blast crater. The dust was removed from that
Yeah.
spot.
But
He
the dust is underneath the lunar module. It looks
So
like
what am I
nothing
missing?
happened.
Okay, what he keeps asking over and over again.
Okay, and what I'm not hearing.
I don't know
Let's
why-
all get into this. Come on.
I don't know why. Maybe stating it will help because he said it okay. He is saying that there is not a discernible blast crater. You've explained why there isn't. And then he's saying, but then you turn around and say, on the Clementine images, we see a disturbance. How come we can't see the disturbance at the time it happened, and yet we can see it 20-plus years later?
A large
Is that
disturbance 20-plus years later.
You know,
Okay.
it seems to me that the moon is basically a rock covered by 2 feet of chocolate powder. And if you blow off the powder, you get down to rock. And there's not a blast crater in the rock. But you have blown away all of the chocolate powder.
Michael is precisely right, and he has concisely said what was I was really stumbling over. Yes,
That's my moon. I'm sorry.
well, I'm here to release some
You
breaking
can see-
NASA news.
I mean, you see this image. It looks like a crater.
It's not. It's just where the dust got blown around and mixed up.
But it doesn't look like there's any dust blown around or anything happens whatsoever to the very clear, high-resolution photographs of the underneath the lunar module.
Yeah, why can't we see the dust disturbance at the time, but only 20
We don't see
years later?
nothing. You see nothing. It looks exactly the same.
No. If you actually look at a lot of the pictures, well, of course, you can't take a picture of the landing spot before they landed. We don't have that technology, so we only have pictures after the lunar lander was there. And when you look under the landers, you can see sort of these black radial streaks from the surface being scorched a little bit by the.
I don't see that anywhere.
That's in one of the pictures, I believe. I've
looked
seen
at
it.
every single one of them. I've never seen anything
Well, I might,
even remotely
okay,
close to that.
I might be wrong, but I do know that the dust was blown out from underneath these things, and without air, our sort of common sense ideas of how things behave on the moon get a little confused. And so you don't get dust billowing up in the air and then settling down in the pads, for example. It just blows straight out. By the time the lander actually touched down, the exhaust had been blowing out the dust for several seconds.
Okay, but if that's true, then how come it didn't work that way with the lunar rovers? The lunar rovers, the dust kicked up in the air and came down the same way it would if it was on Earth. The only difference being that it came down slower, presumably because of the 1/6 Earth's gravity.
Actually, this is, wow, if we were confused before, this is going to be great. The rovers were actually, they would drive off away from the lander, so there was still dust relatively undisturbed on the surface. And when the wheels would kick up the dust, what's really interesting is that if you think about it, if you were to drive through a big pile of dust on the Earth with your car, what would you see? Well, the big particles, the pebbles and stuff, would go up and come down, and that would be it. But the finer stuff would billow up, and you get these big dust clouds.
Right.
You see that in movies all the time where somebody peels out, right, and there's this huge dust cloud. You don't see that with the rover. You see all the dust goes up and it goes down, a beautiful parabolic arc.
The same way it would if it was dirt on Earth.
But it would have to be like gravel on the Earth, because the stuff on the surface of the moon is, I've actually heard it described as like cocoa powder. It has that sort of very fine powdery texture, talcum or actually gunpowder, and it's the particles themselves are like grains of sand, but they're extremely small.
But it doesn't look like cocoa powder. It looks like dirt. It looks like dirt that's played at half speed. That's what it looks like.
Well, it's kind of hard to tell from a distance.
Have you seen video of the lunar module, the rover sped up when they're driving? It looks like it's driving on dirt. The dirt kicks up and it falls down, just like it would if you were going four-wheeling in Kentucky.
Well, in fact, if you speed up the video on the Apollo astronauts, to me it does not look real. It looks like they're moving at the correct speed, things falling at the correct speed, but if you look at their arms and their legs, it looks like they're moving really quickly.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
I've seen the video of them doing it at double speed. When they talk about them walking on the surface of the moon, that the 1/6 gravity made them move slower, but what it really was, like the hoax people think that it's half speed, that if you speed it up double, it looks like they're moving around normal speed. Their arms don't look like they're moving fast at all. It looks like they're moving like a guy in a spacesuit in Earth gravity, just kind of hopping around on the surface of dirt. It looks like the same exact gravity.
Well, I'm just going to have to agree to disagree with you here, because I've seen that video, and if you speed up the stuff by...
I've seen that video hundreds of times obsessively.
So have I, in fact, because I've been debunking guys like you, so I have to do this.
They don't look like their arms are moving fast at all.
Oh, I think it is. When you speed it up 2 times, I think, you see them walking around and doing stuff. It looks kind of like cartoons, like old 1930s thing.
I completely disagree.
Okay, well, the audience will have to make up their own minds, I think.
Do a search and take a look at that.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, they're not even leaving the surface of the moon more than like a few inches.
Yeah. They were wearing these big, heavy spacesuits, and the backpack.
Right. Okay. Which brings us to the future. Which brings us to future landings where they filmed more elaborate, high color videos of them on the moon, where all of a sudden they can jump like 16, 20 feet. They can jump in great distances. Now, what's that about?
I will give you.
It looks like they're doing flying, crouching tiger, hidden dragon crap.
I will give you $1 million right now if you can show me video of an astronaut jumping 20 feet on the moon.
Not in the air. I'm not talking about in the air. They're jumping distances. And it might not be 20 feet. I'm
$1 million right now for anybody who shows me video from Apollo.
You haven't seen
20
video
feet.
of them making great jumps?
No. They jumped. The best they would do is skip around. They tried doing some jumps and they kept falling down. And the problem is the spacesuit has this big backpack on it, which makes them really off balance. And they kept falling, trying to do normal stuff. It was really hard for them to do stuff.
Well, that's another point because I've seen some video where they fall down and they catch themselves with their legs up in the air, where it looks like they're being suspended on wires.
Well, yeah, they're in lower gravity, and so they bounce funny.
But even if they bounce funny, why would it look like they're suspended on wires? Like they're being suspended from a point on their back where their legs kick up and then automatically come back down. I've seen video of them like righting themselves where they're literally, their whole body is pitched 45 degrees forward and they manage to right themselves. It looks like they're on wires.
Joe, this has been astonishing. We've done the whole hour.
No, we haven't even started.
I can't even rebut you. I mean, come on.
You have held your own, man. You know this stuff.
We haven't even got to the juicy stuff yet.
Email me.
We will bring you.
Give me a call. I'll give you my number. Call me.
All right, please do.
That's Joe Rogan. We're back with Penn Jillette. Goodbye.